Hello everyone and welcome. Today we're going to talk about something that's, well, at the very heart of writing Java code. It's naming rules. I know. It might sound a little basic, but trust me, getting this right is the absolute foundation for everything else you're going to do.
So tell me if this sounds familiar. You're coding, you've typed out a name, you've checked the spelling a dozen times, but Java just keeps screaming at you with error messages. It's so frustrating, right? Well, today we're going to figure out exactly why that happens, and more importantly, how you can make sure it never happens again.
All right, let's jump right in. The first piece of our puzzle today is something called keywords. You can think of these as the VIPs of the Java language. They're special, protected words.
So what exactly is a keyword? Put simply, it's a word that Java has already called dibs on. It has a special job to do, a meaning that's already built right into the language itself.
You know, this is the perfect way to picture it. Imagine you're getting on a train. Most seats are free, right? But some have that little reserved sign on them. You can't just sit there. Keywords are exactly like that. They're already taken by Java for a very specific purpose.
And here are just a few of those reserved seats. Words like class, public, static, if. You've probably seen these pop up all over the place. Each one is basically a command telling the Java compiler, hey, do this specific thing.
And that's really the bottom line. Because these words are powerful instructions for Java, the language has to protect them. It stops us from using them for our own variable or class names because, well, can you imagine the confusion? It just makes sense.
Okay, so if we can't use all those special keywords, what are we supposed to use? Well, that brings us to the second piece of the puzzle, identifiers. This is where we get to be creative. These are the names that we, the programmers, make up ourselves.
Now, identifier sounds like a big technical word, but don't let it scare you. It's just the official term for any name you give to something in your code, whether that's a class, a method, or a variable you're using to store some information.
Here's our really easy way to think about it. People have names, right? Ram, Sita, John. We use names to tell people apart. Well, the different parts of our Java program also need unique names, so the computer knows exactly what we're talking about.
For example, you might create a class and name it hello, or maybe a variable to store a number, you could call it age, or a method that does some work like calculate total. See, these are all identifiers, and they are completely your creation.
All right, now this part is super important. Java can be a bit of a strict teacher when it comes to how you name things. But don't you worry, the rules are actually very straightforward once you see them.
So rule number 1, what's allowed at the beginning of a name? Well, any identifier has to start with either a letter, an underscore, or a $sign. That's it. So a name like age is totally fine. And so is something like underscore number.
This slide is perfect for showing the common mistakes. On the left, everything's good, but look at the right side. These are the big no-nos. You can't have a space, like in student name. You can't start a name with a number, so one age is out. And of course, you definitely can't use a keyword like class. Okay, I need everyone's full attention for this next one. It's a tiny detail that trips up almost every single person when they're starting out. We're talking about case sensitivity. This is so important.
Here's the deal. In the Java world, a lowercase letter and an uppercase letter are two completely different things. So, if you have a variable called age, all in lowercase, it is totally separate from a variable called age with a capital A. To Java, hello and hello are not the same thing at all.
This quote just nails it. Think about it. In real life, if you write your name in all capital letters, it's still you, right? But in Java's world, no. You change just one letter's case and poof, you've created a completely new, totally different thing.
So you might be sitting there thinking, my goodness, why is Java so picky about all this? It can feel like a lot of annoying rules, but believe me, there's a really good reason for all this strictness.
And the reason is quite simple, actually. Computers are not like people. They can't guess what you meant to say. They only understand exactly what you type. So these strict rules are there to remove any doubt, any confusion, and to make your instructions crystal clear.
And in the end, these rules are really there to help you out. When you follow them, you'll find you have far fewer errors to fix. Your code will be much cleaner and easier to read, both for you and for anyone else. And if you're working on a team, having everyone follow the same rules is an absolute game changer.
Okay, so let's bring all of this home.
It's so easy to feel lost and confused when you're just starting, but by really grasping these ideas, you're taking a giant leap from that confusion towards real confidence. And here's something you really need to hear. Most beginners, they don't get stuck on the big, complex programming ideas. Nope, they get stuck on these tiny little details, like the naming rules. It is the most common hurdle, so you are definitely not alone.
So if you've been making these mistakes, please know it is 100% normal. Every single programmer has been exactly where you are. Just the fact that you're watching this and learning these rules, that means you are making huge progress on your journey.
And that's what it all comes down to. You now understand the difference between keywords and identifiers, you know the rules, you now have the secret decoder ring to look at Java code and actually understand what's going on, and to start writing your own code with a lot more confidence.
So, we now know how to name things. The next logical question is, what are we actually naming? That's where variables come in. They are the containers that hold our data. In our next explainer, we'll dive deep into them. I hope you're ready for that next step. I'll see you there.